everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life number 124 for the 20th of November as we roll our way towards Cybertruck Day.
Or it's Cybertruck Day?
It's come. It's not quite here.
Is that a national holiday?
It's like Cybertruck Eve, I guess you would call it. Yes.
World holiday.
Yes. So we're almost ready to go. Welcome to the show. We've got a ton of news tonight, but first the panel. Mr. Russell Frost joins us from San Diego this evening. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello, everyone, from the bottom left corner of America, where it is rainy, windy, and in the 50s. This is not why I pay California state taxes, damn it. No, I actually love the rain. I love the rain, except riding the motorcycle home last night at 11:30 p.m. in the rain.
Yeah.
Not as much fun as gliding home in the moonlight.
Yeah, I can see that. And a little bit less soggy, Mr. Casey Green joins us from the other side of the country, Washington area.
Just as cold, no rain.
No rain.
You bastard.
Yeah. So
just rubbing it in now.
Indeed. So my video about SmartSummon updates, it took off, and if you haven't seen it yet, take a look.
Casey's releasing videos. He's back on the track, and you can find him at Casey Green on the YouTube channel. Just check it out.
Yeah. K-A-C-E-Y. G-R-E-N.
Very good. Mr. Evan Bosco joins us.
From 69 and sunny here today, and
nice.
it was really a beautiful day out, and we enjoyed it quite a lot. And I'm noticing that looks like Casey got some Viagra for us posters in the background, and they've each got their own little light on them now.
Yeah, they finally uncurled themselves from
those
the
are Viagra posters?
No,
they are all posters though.
They were all flaccid last time.
3X.
Oh,
now they're all nice and straight
from the roll.
So they're unrolling gradually over the week.
Yeah, so I'm here in the Midwest.
Properly.
We're getting a flight home from Los Angeles at a reasonable hour is impossible, and therefore I will not be going to the Cybertruck event.
Were you invited?
I was.
Sweet. Was it from the referrals or just because?
So apparently, if you earned a referral to the Model Y event, which I did, and were unable to attend, they sent you an invite to the Cybertruck reveal. So that's why I got one. We think that's the speculation I'm seeing online, and I really wanted to go, but I'm gonna have to find a sugar daddy to take these kinds of events. It just didn't pan out.
They make cougars, you know.
Yeah, right. I'll take applications.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, this week, again, no slowdown in Tesla news, as there never is, besides the truck event coming up tomorrow, which we're going to try to do a live stream tomorrow. So if you're watching tonight, maybe block off some time tomorrow night. We're going to try to do a live, along with the reveal. We'll do some commentary and see what we can come up with. But that's what we're planning on doing tomorrow. But for this evening, let's get to the Tesla news. We got some additional detail about Giga 4 in Germany. So we, of course, announced that with what Tesla is planning on doing. The investment, we're looking at about $4.4 billion for the Berlin factory. And the state government told the news agency DPA that that translates into at least 3,000 people employed at the factory. And of course, the optimistic number over time could rise to the 8,000 figure after expansion. The construction is slated to begin in the first quarter of 2020. And the plant is expected to be up and running by the end of 2021.
So I've got about 2 years to learn German.
That's 2 years. 2 years. So we talked about previously if they were going to try to beat the Chinese record. Apparently not.
Not in Germany, they're not. No.
No, the Germans have decided that the slow and steady plan is much better than the fast plan.
Yeah, the human rights laws are a little bit more strict there too.
That was the word I was thinking of. If you miss your concrete pouring goal for the day, you won't be flogged in Germany. Okay?
It also looks like they won't be getting anywhere near the level of subsidies. So, yeah, just all around not going for competition on that.
It's interesting. Where are they going to find the capex for that?
Apparently, they're profitable.
Okay.
That's what they say.
Well, of course, the capex for the Chinese factory was gotten by Chinese banks, right?
Yeah.
Additional loans from Chinese banks.
But
and this is before they claim to be profitable too.
So would this be some European banks playing in on this action? Possibly.
There's a competition.
But we don't know, really, to be honest. We are not sure.
I'm feeling if they self-fund it, it's going to take a while. Because they can't afford to keep the phones on. So
it's going to be interesting to see the difference in building a factory in China and Germany because of the huge cultural differences and this airport that they're wiping out a forest to be near. Apparently, it took 10 years to build. Was it?
Yeah, a bit long on the on the timetable and the expense on the expense
side, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the German government is going to break down all barriers and make sure that this gets built at 200% speed. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see.
That's not really their style, is it?
I'm sorry. What
That's not really the German style, yeah.
No, I don't think it is.
It's going to be by the book. It's going to be engineered to precision.
Engineered to precision.
Yeah, well, I mean, look certainly Germany could build something every bit as fast as China could
if they wanted.
It is I mean, as Evan said, human rights. I mean, the workers are very unionized. Things are more expensive there. It's just not the same kind of okay, China says make it so, and it is. They put as many people into it as they need to. They as nationalized as the industry is there, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see the budgeting in 2020. That's really, I think, going to be the tell on this.
Especially with only 300 million in help out of 3 billion, or 4 billion. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now. Wait, what was that number?
300 million
subsidies. Oh, I got you. See.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Next story is a little bit about sunny California, which apparently Russell lets us know it's not that sunny today. But there has been recently a Model Y was spotted in California, kind of on display, but also looking like it was in a back lot somewhere.
On display in a back lot.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. It's here we are. We've got sharing the screen here. This is an article that comes from Tesla in Canada website. And this particular Model Y in the sunshine was displayed with, you can see the, I guess the bollards around it so that nobody gets too close. But what was interesting is the back seat, the third row, was in this particular vehicle and could be spotted through the window.
And how do you not hit your head
on the glass?
Worse than that, look, it's got the
it looks like the headrests won't even come up.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
they look retracted, right?
They are retracted, but it looks like they are intended to go up. It just doesn't look like.
And if they were to go up, are they going to hit the back windshield?
They go up this much.
Wow. That is real.
They touch the glass.
Wow. That looks problematic.
Yeah. Not if you're a 5-year-old.
Right.
You don't get a headrest.
Then you don't get a headrest. You get. I mean, I don't know. Is there room? There's so much we don't know because we haven't actually gotten to explore this thing yet.
Yeah.
No, and it was only seen at night. This is like one of the only daylight shots of this car.
Right.
But it does look questionable as to whether or not these seats can be used by anybody but a child.
I wonder if they recline like my middle seats do.
Maybe it's for pets.
So, I wonder if they're going to pull a Model X and just push the front seats forward a little bit, because it is significantly taller than the Model 3.
Well, they would lose leg room if they were to do so.
Yeah, on the Model X, the front seats sit forward of where they do on the Model S because the seats are on a riser and your knees come to more of an angle than they are straight out like the.
And there is supposed to be a riser for the middle row on the Y.
Yep, and the drivers said that the front seats had the same style of risers as the Model X.
So again, just based on this photo, though, it's just I don't know.
We're going to help the rear row. It only helps the middle row.
We're going to have to see about that rear row if it's viable in any way, shape, or form. But in this particular photo, it does look suspect that it's going to be difficult.
It is blue. I wonder if this is the same vehicle and it's still a production intent, because
that could definitely be the case. Absolutely.
Yeah. They were both blue, and they did say if you bought one already, they did say that if you bought the rear seats, it's gonna be another year.
Well, I was about to ask, if the rear seats are optional?
Yeah, they are optional.
You
get your car faster if you don't get them. Versus the opposite with the Model X, where if you got 7 seats, you got your car faster than if you didn't.
I do think Casey's brought up a fascinating question, which is honestly, what is the Model Y's impact going to be on production of S and X?
I think it'll push it down further.
Well, in other words, is the plan without, because every company doesn't announce everything, and that's right. Like, I mean, I get that. They're not going to say, hey, we're going to kill the Model X in 18 months.
No, they would never say that.
Is this a step towards that, or, I
guess it depends on if it sells like he says it's going to sell. It sells like gangbusters. They're going to need the extra line, and that might be what actually does put the S and X onto hand-built status.
So, and honestly, I think if they're going to get rid of the X, it would be because they are going to do the Cybertruck's also going to be available as an SUV, making a legit full-size SUV based on that platform.
Which is a very interesting point.
It makes a lot more sense, I think. Yeah. And, you get rid of the problems with the stupid Falcon Wing doors and some of that crap.
Says the owner of Falcon Wing doors.
I like my Falcon Wing doors. They are so practical when we need them.
And so impractical all the other times.
Well, we don't use them any other time except when we need them.
I mean,
there has been certainly people talking about the alignment of them, and
ours are misaligned from day one.
Yeah, and spending that kind of money on a vehicle, you may want your doors aligned. I've heard people say they want them aligned.
Well, and here's the thing: ours are perfect.
Nice.
They work fine. They're perfectly aligned. Don't have any issues with that. The problem is if you're in a garage and there's other stuff around and you want to try to open the door to put shit in there, guess what? You got to duck under, crawl through this crack to reach in there, and then hope that you remember that you crawled under and don't bang your head on the freaking corner of the damn thing like I've done 3 or 4 times. It's just an idiotic design. And
mine have these pads that I push on that push them up higher.
If there's room.
Yeah. It's on me to decide how much room I need.
Nah, I hate them. I really do.
Okay, so we got one X owner that loves them and one that hates them. So
and so the reason I didn't opt to have them fix my doors was because everybody I've heard that had the procedure done, it came out worse than they started with. So
what?
Yeah.
Wait. Your doors aren't aligned.
They are not aligned at all.
And you have intentionally not repaired it because what you've heard is that the repairs are worse than the original install.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awful.
I know.
I mean, we're talking about a 6-figure car.
God, please tell me Ed Niedermeyer's not listening tonight.
He's not. Trust me.
He's always listening. He's always listening, Evan. He hears it all.
It's only slightly off. It's not as bad as some people's chrome misalignment. So I was like, it's not worth the hassle.
Okay.
I
keep the water out. They don't.
Well, they're probably, besides cost, there probably was a reason that the Model Y was not considered to get those Falcon Wing doors as well.
Mostly the cost.
Our next story leads us to a little bit about those SUV talks. Evan's going to tell us a little bit about a new version of a Ford that came out.
Right. So this requires a little bit of background. Ford unveiled their brand new Mustang Mach-E all-electric. I think they're calling it a crossover vehicle. Was it Tuesday? What day did they do that? Was that last week?
It was Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, Sunday night. In a very fancy, highly stylized teleprompter laden event with Idris Elba there and lots of sparkly video that was an interesting contrast to Elon's reveal events, and that also
don't forget the choir.
Yeah, Detroit choir. It was where Elon's is flashy and kind of uncoordinated and chaotic. Ford's was very well organized, but kind of bizarre. Like you couldn't quite figure out why some of the things were there, but very well organized and very structured. But they revealed their first. I want to say first. They revealed their newest electric car that I think is their first real serious entry into the market to try to steal some market share from Tesla. And the designs are unbelievably close to the Model Y in a whole lot of ways. I mean, size, styling, where the way the center screen, it looks like a Model S or Model X screen, whereas the Y is going to be a horizontal like the Model 3. But other than that, very, very close in design, similar in specs on the upper models with a 3.5 second or approximately 0 to 60 time, range varying from 230 to 300 miles. So a lot of really similarities to the Model Y. But they, of course, accompanied their reveal event with a pretty heavy social media blitz that night and the following day. And they put out a tweet, said, "Zero gas, zero emissions, 100% exhilaration. Tapped to be amongst the first to reserve the all-new electric Mustang Mach-E." And Elon Musk replied to that tweet, and he gave his congratulations. "Congratulations on the Mach-E. Sustainable electric cars are the future. Excited to see this announcement from Ford, as it will encourage other car makers to go electric too." And I'm going to assume, and Russell can assume contrary to that this was sincere from Elon. He's long said that he's welcome competition, and it aligns with Tesla's stated goals of basically converting cars to all electric and pushing this not just for Tesla but for the entire industry and transportation in general. So I thought it was pretty classy. He certainly didn't have to do it and didn't have to say anything. It made that tweet from Ford get a heck of a lot more hits than it otherwise would have if he hadn't replied.
So we got the photo up showing both vehicles. Again, Ford's come out with their own door handle.
They copied them.
They came out with their own door handle. That's another thing.
I'm kidding.
That was an interesting start for a door handle. There's a little black nub on the base of the B pillar that you press a button and then you pull on the lever to pull the door open. On the back door, there's just a button and the door ejects, and you're supposed to put your finger between the crack to open it up.
I hope there's no gravity.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Another thing that I noticed was that the roof line, it's got this extra black piece that makes the roof higher on the inside, but from the outside, with it being black and with the red underneath it, kind of makes it look a little more sleek than it actually is, which is kind of an interesting design concept, which is kind of cool, I thought. Yeah. It's very similar to the Y, but what SUV 4-door CUV, I would say, is not like the Model Y. A lot of them look in that kind of similar fashion.
Yeah, I do like the door buttons on mine, but it also comes with motors to actually open and close the doors.
Right. Well, but that's a different bracket. If we're thinking about the Y,
it's door handles.
It's got door handles.
They work.
Different kinds. Kinds.
I was surprised to see they had a nose cone that didn't look body colored. I actually was much more in favor of those if you have to have a nose cone.
I'm sorry, you're more in favor of a body colored one, or
no, the black one. The body colored one looks weird.
So yeah, they've got two different styles they showed off. They showed off the regular one that's going to be available immediately, and then they showed off the GT, which had a blackish type grill, kind of looked like more of a normal grill for a regular engine car. But the overall look is exactly the same. It's just some accents.
Exactly, but the dark color was more like the Tesla guppy mouth than this one. Looks like Neo when he's in the Matrix and they take his mouth away.
That's a good analogy. Yes. What did you think of the new MachE, Russell? What were your thoughts?
Forgive me for being old and cynical. I mean, I'm glad that Ford's put this much effort behind it, but I want to see it. I want to see it in showrooms. Show me it in all 50 states. Show me in most of the dealers. Show me dealers that aren't going, there's no way in hell you want to buy this. And I'll be like, okay, that's what I expected from Ford, because that's what they've done in the past with their electric vehicle offerings. Hey, we're going to do this, and then it never happens, or it gets limited distribution. I want to see Ford. I want to see Ford push this car and get it out there.
So on the positive side, reservations are open to anybody, right? I mean, it's not like restricted to certain states, and you can go on and you can put your deposit down, and it's 100% refundable wherever you are. And they kind of they laid out a timeline that, as far as I can tell, there aren't any anticipated restrictions on distribution. You've still got to deal with a middleman with your local dealer, and they can price it how they want. MSRP is just that, and if the demand is high, you can guarantee they're going to jack prices up on you. But I would hope that it doesn't go that way. And then somebody said there's only, oh gosh, I can't remember how many. There's not that many, maybe 60,000 more full tax credit vehicles left.
Yeah, that's not
for them.
Yeah,
because their other two vehicles have eaten some of that up.
Yeah. So if they do have heavy initial sales, they're going to run out of the big tax credit probably by the end of 2020.
Well,
and that is the excellent and salient point that I think we're going to see. Elon welcomes. I think Elon genuinely does welcome all electric cars. That said, I think what Elon welcomes is more people to have their fat in the fire for electric cars, so that it's not just him going to lobby, it's him and Ford and everybody else to lobby for new subsidies. And that's coming so quickly, because come the end of this year, it's...
Well, GM's done.
Yeah, I mean,
and if Ford is that much into it already, Tesla's done
that, that far into it,
and
Toyota's probably not too far behind Ford.
And I gotta believe Nissan is damn
there,
close to being done as well.
Yeah.
So the more the merrier when it comes to pandering for additional subsidies. Yeah.
Maybe they'll make it a rebate this time instead of a credit.
No, I did hear that volume of this car, they're anticipating about 50,000 to be built in the first year. But I have heard conflicting reports about actually how many batteries they could get for those 50,000 cars, and it's somewhat less than 50,000.
Oh.
So there could be some mules.
Do you get a discount if you don't have a
So those are initial reports. I don't know if they're true or not, but it is something that if you don't have your own battery plant, that you are kind of left at the mercy of the suppliers. Yeah. So hopefully Ford has allocated the proper amount from their suppliers and can get those cars out the door with battery packs.
Yeah, I'd heard that Porsche had some trouble obtaining enough batteries.
Exactly. Another manufacturer that's been delayed somewhat because of battery woes. So, well, next story, a little bit of word of mouth Russell's got for us. What do you got, Russell?
Huh? Oh, well, that's me. Simon Alvarez at Teslarati just 2 days ago published a story about Tesla's success in avoiding traditional advertising. I read through the article, which apparently relies on a conversation with a Twitter person with the handle of Incentives 101. I haven't previously followed this person, but I did before the show kind of browse their timeline, and a lot of what I see here is pretty standard sort of, Tesla drum beating. I don't see a lot of like super. I don't see anything really much else than that. Number one, Tesla's unique in a lot of ways, right? I mean, I think that's obvious, in what they build and how they build it, and all of that. And Elon has always very stridently been anti-advertising, traditional advertising. Even though there have been little dabbles here and there. Okay, we're going to do car shows. We're going to do some car shows. Or no, we're not. Tesla has, in a lot of ways, been the renegade, where car companies spend billions in advertising through traditional ad agencies in all the traditional ad markets. Tesla has not. A lot of that is because the CEO's social media reach is enormous. And Elon, unlike most other CEOs, is out there on a nearly daily basis pumping his businesses. And if you think that's me being critical of him, not necessarily. I'm just saying what's pretty obvious.
I mean, he interacts with the people on a daily basis. A lot of other CEOs, if you even know who they are not out there having a two-way conversation with either the customers or
when's the last time you saw Mary Barra answer a question from a
Never.
GM customer live on Twitter?
But I'm going to make a lot less of the Elon interaction, because let's be clear, with somebody with 20 some odd million followers, Elon talks to maybe directly on Twitter, 2 or 3 a month? 4, 6?
Probably about 10 to 20.
Yeah. Okay, 10 or 20.
But that almost doesn't matter though, Russell, because people have the impression that he listens online, and I guarantee you, every single day somebody says, "Oh, I'm having this problem." Tweet Elon.
Yeah.
Tweet Elon. I mean, you see it all the time, and like people think that they have his ear, and right. There's good reason to believe that. There's a Joe mode that we have now in our cars, right?
Yeah.
Like because of a tweet, right? And somebody else tweeted
hungry and lucky mode.
Right, hungry and lucky mode. So the dog mode, like all these little things, he has been intermittently responsive to, and it's extremely Pavlovian. He doesn't have to respond to everybody. He's just got to make you think he might respond to you, and that's all it takes.
And that's the brilliance of the social media strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not me being critical. I think it's Tesla has broken some new ground here and showing that dumping millions into ad agencies isn't the only way to do it. Now, without Elon's, shall we say, larger than life social media profile, could this work? No, there's no way in hell it would work. Let's be clear. That's really a lot of it. Now, you look at a lot of the fans of Tesla that are also a huge part of this equation. Yep. The Tesla owners that evangelize for this, and Evan and I and Mark and actually, what am I saying? All of us on the show are familiar with evangelizing for cars and car companies and brands, right?
That's how we all met.
Right. So it's I think in some ways the Elon thing kind of overshadows the massive amount of work that those unpaid owners put in.
And it started with the Roadster. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting story. I'm not sure it's super well reasoned, but it's definitely some of the tenets of it are absolutely undeniable. Tesla doesn't advertise like the traditional car companies do, and it so far has worked for them. I think the real question that's not dealt with at all here is, how's it going to work going forward? And that's, I think, the question that remains to be answered.
Yeah, and even Elon had mentioned at one point that maybe some informational advertisements would be in play as the future comes along. But the foreseeable future, as he put it, was they're selling as much as they got. They haven't got an issue of not selling items, and he doesn't see any reason to change right at this moment, although he did mention about in the future possibly some informational based, because he has a disdain for the the shucking of a product, like
No, he doesn't. Come on.
Yeah, that online he has a disdain for it. So
What does he do online? He pumps his companies constantly. I mean,
well, he's talking about the mass blasts, like the non-interactive.
Well, what I think what he's referring to is some of the untrue statements that are made in order to sell a product.
I understand. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just CyberTruck, November 2019. Come on.
Well, they did name it that, so
yeah, but that's a lot different than a 30-second clip that just plays to people who don't even care.
But you're right. Listen, what he does is really like the whole Blade Runner connection. Like it like sparks passion. People like are getting to see what he's done that's going to connect that. Like right, and it's not going to look like anything in Blade Runner, but there'll be something. There'll be some lights or something that's going to be cool and give you that impression. And I don't know. It's cool. And I had one other thought. Just we all, or not all of us, but at least Russell and I met in the Prius world. I
don't even know.
Now Toyota does advertise like a big company, but they didn't really advertise the Prius very heavily early on. At all. And that really grew from a grassroots thing from people that had a passion for it. That it had a unique styling to it, so it got people's attention, and there was a lot of talk, and telling people it got 60 miles per gallon. It really made an impression, and I think was a huge thing that spurred the phenomena that became the Prius and really hybrids across all the automakers, because Honda certainly wasn't getting that kind of vibe on their stuff. So I don't know, it's different. Times were different. Social media wasn't as big a thing in 2004 when, the second gen came, or 2003 when it came out. But I don't know. That was pretty organic that way too, and really grew that brand.
Yeah. So there's in one sense, Tesla has this advantage. They're not dumping this money into traditional advertising. The other thing, though, is it's a social, it's an avenue, an advertising and a marketing avenue that they have no control over whatsoever. None. They can push things, but when things spin out of control or if things go negative, they have no way of pulling it back because it's not theirs. It belongs to fans. So when lots of fans, for instance, attack somebody else's car or other owners or other things like that aren't Tesla because they're not Tesla, I think that has the potential to hurt Tesla as a company too.
Right. And I think Ed Niedermeyer would agree with you on that, as he talks about this fanboy environment that it's created. And I don't completely disagree with him. I think he exaggerates things and fails to recognize that there are reasonable people out there that own Teslas and do acknowledge and recognize the flaws and work to get rid of those. But you're right. I mean, that does create some negatives as well.
Just potentially. I'm not saying that
no, in reality it does.
So
it's
far,
not potential.
Yeah.
I think it's in reality. I mean, there are people that are turned off of Tesla because of the crazy fanboys. It's not a potential. It's realized. I think right now, though, the weight is more towards the passion than the put off.
Yeah, but you find crazy fanboys everywhere. We had it in Prius land. We had it in EV1. It's everywhere. And about the most mundane stuff. And I mean, you find it about all sorts of. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Casey.
No, I mean, seriously, like it doesn't even have to be cars. Just anything that somebody gets behind with some sort of passion. Look at the Apple versus Android. And when Windows Phone was around, you had three camps of just rabid fans. It was not always
sometimes more passion than thought.
Yes, exactly.
So the problem with Tesla is that they don't have a presence in the media other than this social media thing.
Yeah.
They don't have an advertising persona. They don't have any sort of marketing or image. It's driven mostly by these fans. Again, almost exclusively for the positive. But if something does spin out of control, they have no way of pulling it back. And again, they don't have anything else to offset this. They don't have happy little ecologically friendly humming pop tunes ads running in the background.
Even worse than that, they're still fighting the smear campaign. So like if I run across anybody, they know either, ooh, that's that really cool car, or hey, that's the company with the crazy idiot for the CEO. It's like, no, he's not really as crazy as you think he is, but
He might be.
He might be, but he's not as crazy as they were led to believe. He's definitely non-conventional, but he's not a raving lunatic like they were led to believe.
He's crazy.
I'm crazy.
Nuts.
Crazy like a fox. Well, next we move on to a wiper update, and I wanted to prompt Evan, another Model 3 owner, if he ever uses the automatic wipers, or if he used them for a little while and just dropped it.
So I say I leave my wipers on auto probably 80 to 90% of the time. But every once in a while, I'll get in my car in the garage in the morning, and it's completely dry, and the fucking things just go crazy. They just start wiping my dry window. Like what the hell? And then then there's other times where it's raining a lot harder than the wipers seem to realize, and I have to put it on manual to get it to pick up. But I think the majority of the time, if I'm patient, they seem to sort of be slow to catch up. Like it starts raining and it goes, oh, there's some rain. It wipes once, and it waits. Oh, maybe it really is raining, and it wipes again, and then it waits, and then eventually, like if you drive enough down the road, it goes, oh fuck, it's really raining, okay. and then it really starts wiping, and you're fine. So
you got to be driving at least 20 minutes in the rain before it catches up to what's happening outside.
It's not quite that long, but it does seem like it sometimes, and you have to give it a little extra boost, once in a while. But I try to let it do the auto because for the most part, it does a pretty good job.
Well, for you and Casey and myself, there is a reason to leave it in auto and maybe press that extra wipe button every once in a while as you feel it's required, because apparently Tesla's been taking that information and they've been trying to build a better wiper, anticipation of what's required. So apparently there's going to be an over-the-air update where some new wiping software is coming. They're going to call it, this is going to be Smart Wipe or whatever they're going to call it. But they've got an update apparently that is in the waiting to come out to all of us. So, because I was wondering too, because I as Evan had explained, I had found myself just not being patient enough. It would do the one wipe, and it was like, okay, now I can't see it all. I have to wipe myself. So it's like, do I just turn this damn thing off and switch it to the old wiper style where it would go every half second? And there was many times that I was like just kind of swearing at the wipers. It's like, well, are you going to do it or not? So
this new neural net is actually called Deep Rain, and it's one of the last things that Elon said that they will be trademarking, and because it was so hard, they say. So with the latest update, 2019.36.2, and it actually raining outside, I was not able to actually push the button to make it wipe, because every time I went to go push it, it had already wiped. I was like, well, thanks, smart Alec. And but it's still not quite to where my Model S was. My Model S was a Gen 1 autopilot, so it had the actual physical rain sensor. Exactly.
Yeah, and I loved it on the S as well. It worked great.
But this is approaching that level of usefulness. There were, like I said, there were times where I thought about it, but by the time that I could physically move my hand to go push the button, it had already corrected itself. But the fact that I thought about doing it means it was not fast enough.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because it was bothering you enough.
So we will have to wait for the OTA to come and see if it makes an improvement, but they say it's going to, and it is because of all of us taking the time to press that white button, and Tesla's recording it. So we'll see if our efforts pay off in the near future. Our next story is about a bit of a fire that happened in New Jersey.
Familiar?
Yeah. So actually, Casey, you could talk a little bit about this since you're in that area.
So I'm not for sure that this is the Supercharger that I did a video and took a nap at, but it looks super familiar, and I'm pretty good at recognizing these things. But what ended up happening was it was reported that the Supercharger equipment had caught fire, and there was nobody there charging, and the gas station said, oh, well, our stuff is on. It's on another circuit. It's still fine. Later on, as the journalists did their work and did their investigating, it turned out to be like a like the transformer, some equipment that was actually feeding the Tesla station, and that the supercharger actually didn't catch fire either. But obviously,
No, it was a cabinet, right? That caught.
not even the cabinet caught fire. It was very near the Tesla cabinet, and but either way, the Tesla supercharger is currently offline because it doesn't have any juice. The Tesla's been pretty tight-lipped about it, except to agree with that it wasn't their stuff on fire.
And of course, this was a Wawa, which we had talked about in previous shows about Wawa upping its want of having more superchargers. This particular one in New Jersey, luckily, there was no one there at the time that it started. And of course, when the fire department showed up, the Wawa clerk or the manager inside was able to flip a separate breaker because it's all set up on a separate breaker and just shut down the fire where it's being fed from that side of the electrical equipment. It was just shut off. So.
And this is what the fourth or fifth incident, but the first actual fire anywhere near a supercharger. One was a car that had hand tightened bolts, caught fire while charging. One, there was a bomb at the mall, and so that was nearby.
Don't say bomb. Don't say bomb.
It was an explosion at the mall, and and the guy ducked for cover under his Model X because so that was at the supercharger, and then there was another similar event that was also not the supercharger that was nearby.
So, but man, that would be something to see. There was a few photos taken, shared on Twitter. I'm sure you can find them. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Tesla Life, and you can see the photos as they come in throughout the day. We try to keep those updated on a daily basis, and we had a couple photos of that. But yeah, it was something that was out of the ordinary. And as Casey mentioned, the supercharger is currently down. If you look at the supercharger site, it's grayed out as they complete their investigation and probably have to replace some wiring. I would say there's a lot of fried wiring, I would think, based on the smoke that was coming from that picture anyways.
Yep, but nobody injured, no cars damaged, and the gas station didn't blow up. So, hey, and it turned out way better than it could have.
Another story that we've got, Casey's got for us, is the swap out of the version 3 computer in someone's driveway. How'd that go?
So this was a Canadian fellow. They did his Model X autopilot full self-drive computer in his driveway with mobile service. They told him, oh, it'll take 45 minutes. It ended up taking, 2.5, 3 hours?
Yeah, it was a bit longer. Yeah.
Wow.
But I would still prefer that to having to deal with the service center. My vehicle's scheduled to go in for service next week, the week after, and I did previously, before this announcement came out, I did put on one of my lines I wasted it asking if my VIN had come up for a for a computer replacement, and of course they still haven't answered me yet. So
now apparently that's what this gentleman did as well. He put in a service call through his app, and basically he just asked for the computer swap.
Yes, and he asked for mobile service.
His somewhat surprised, they said, "Yeah, okay,
exactly." And everybody in our group here in DC actually did the same thing after they saw this.
The next day.
Yeah, and they were all contacted and said no. Which is I don't know, the fact that I haven't been answered yet. I don't know if that's good or bad, or if they haven't even looked at me yet. And
they didn't read the last line. They just read the last line.
They definitely ignored the part about I don't want an Uber, I want a loaner car. But he wasn't. Tesla really hates it if you try to video or even photograph their employees. But they don't really seem to have a policy against photographing the work done on mobile service, as long as you don't get the employee in the frame. And so they've got some pictures of both the new and old autopilot computer, the 2.5 and the 3. And the fans have definitely gotten bigger, and hopefully that means that they're also quieter in addition to moving more air. And he said it was heavier, and then he just had a brief video on the process, which is pretty much what we said, where he went on the mobile app, scheduled mobile service, and then poof, here they are. They take out your glove box, and they replace the computers, and then they update the firmware, and then you're good to go. There's another YouTuber, Black Tesla. He actually had to go back twice because the firmware that they put on his car actually didn't work correctly. But after that, it was good. He had to do his at the service center. He went in for like a window trim issue, and they said, "Oh yeah, here's your new computer."
I just wonder how many requests have gone in since this story was published.
I'm sure.
Probably a ton. That might be why all of these people from after I put my request in actually got answers, and they were all no.
Yeah. I auto-generated at this point.
They might be, or a form letter at least.
Yeah.
Evan, did you get your answer back?
I haven't. I'm a lot more patient about that stuff. I'm just waiting.
Well, I was already in for other stuff. It's not like I was hounding them for it.
She said,
"Well,
"Well,
and I would ask,
yeah.
right?" And I would ask in that situation too, if because and the last time I had something done, like the dual motor sticker put on my car or something. They wanted to come out and do that, and so I just asked what the situation was. And I was given the impression we were going to have to go to a service center to get it done.
Same here. For Model 3, you will, because it has coolant, and there's regs in certain jurisdictions that don't allow them to mess with coolant in the mobile. On the Model S and Model X, it's air-cooled, so they can do it anywhere. But it's still up to the individual service center whether or not they will even attempt to do it mobile, and if they even have stock, and if your VIN has come up. So it's still early days. It's just it doesn't look like they planned this out at all. Go figure. Elon's tweeting, and service has no idea what the fuck he's going on about.
Well, so for where I'm located, I certainly hope that they will permit the mobile installs for Model 3 because it's a 360-mile round trip for me to get to the service center.
I spoke with somebody who shall remain nameless. And they suggested that perhaps they'll do install parties the same way that they did the seatbelt buckle campaign at the Superchargers. If you can knock out 10 hardwares and then just get them all flashing down the line.
I just can't see that would be not like the seatbelt campaign is something completely different. Like time-wise, just
they might have to rent a tent and say, everybody come in. We're gonna do 10 today. Here's your number, and then just knock them out.
Yeah,
at the corner of a Walmart parking lot.
We shall see, but it's good to see at least a few of them are being done. So at least they're testing it, which is always good to at least start the process, see if they're going to have any issues with it as they move along or go into higher numbers.
Yeah.
Our next story is on the other side of the world, Australia, which we spoke about initially when this happened, when Elon had that bet that they could install a number of battery packs in Australia to help with their situation of brownouts, and actually provided a date that they could have this installation up and running, and said if we didn't meet the date, you can have it for free. And Tesla Energy obviously succeeded. They had that battery placement up and running, and of course Australia benefited greatly from it because of the ability of the battery to be able to switch on and off and keep the power grid at certain levels in microseconds. Australia was able to gain back, I believe the figure was $50 million in the first year they were able to save. And then over time, that over different quarters, that amount just continued to rise. Well, apparently this week, some shipments of new battery packs started to show up. So they have ordered more, and it was just announced recently that they're increasing that battery pack in southern Australia by almost 50%. An increase in the amount of battery packs that are going to be used in that same installation. Yeah. So obviously things are going quite well for them to obviously up the ante, get some more packs in place, and continue along that road. So fantastic news.
Yeah. What was it, like 60 days or 90 days? We'll get it in, or it's free, and they exceeded it.
And then Ford is going to go poach those batteries for their.
They might. Yeah. But this thing has made so much money for them that whoever's actually running it as their partner actually ordered more, and so they were more than happy to bring in some more and upgrade it.
And the story broke because of the truck trains that were going to the site loaded with the power packs were on the road. A particular carrier had a contract to do something like 41 loads of truck trains of these units, basically 18 per truck train rolling in 30 or 40 some runs of it. And they were just zipping back and forth between the port and this particular location. So someone started to catch on pretty quickly when these white cabinets kept rolling by on the truck trains.
What is that thing?
But speaking of Australia,
Yeah,
There you
go ahead.
So,
what do you know about Australia?
just that he went there. So
I lived there for
He lived there.
6 months.
6 months. So imagine how much faster this would have been had they used the mega packs instead of the traditional power packs.
Exactly. If they could just bring in those shipping containers and drop them off, and they're already pre-set up, ready to go. Now that may be an issue with the particular setup that they have in Australia. With maybe they can't intermix the two systems. That could be something.
Yeah, maybe the connections just aren't there to support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. Being able just to deliver containers that are pre-done with the battery packs already set up on the inside would certainly make that even a faster process.
The
Yeah,
batteries and the inverters.
They can't just twist the wires together and wrap it with electric.
That's all they do. Just a
Yeah.
twist and
They might
some
not have the
electrical
room
tape.
to move it, and the
Touchless.
cabling might not have been adequate. Yeah, because that site had already been deployed, and it was pretty specialized.
Exactly.
Like the two versions might not be compatible, like the power pack and mega pack. Yeah.
So again, this certainly works well for Tesla. A great demonstration to have this large plant up and running, saving money, and now upping their ante by 50%. It certainly bodes well for Tesla, for others to see this as an example of what they could do in their backyard. And how Tesla could provide a solution for them as well. So I'm sure this is turning into a great advertising opportunity that again, with Elon tweeting the offer across the airways, another example of what Russell had spoken about earlier. Next story is about the China-made cars in Gigafactory 3. Apparently, they're going to start to be displayed in stores in China by November 22nd. So that's only a couple of days away, where they're actually going to be placed in stores in front of customers. So we haven't heard much from the China factory since I guess the final certificate was received that they could go into mass production. But this latest piece of information was shared with the online community about delivering these cars to actual stores so people could see the made in China car for themselves. And so again, should be happening by the 22nd. If you happen to be in a store in China and would like to share those photos with us, please go to our Twitter feed or our Facebook feed. Let us know. We would love to see some of that. We also got a copy of a video that was being made about Gigafactory 3's Phase 2, which is being built currently on site, where it will be. I believe that's going to be the battery assembly plant is Phase 2, but that is well under construction as noted by that particular video.
Anybody read Chinese? What do you think that
Not
says
at all.
in the bottom left of the trunk there?
Oh, we did that last week. There was what was it? There was an article last week that we talked about that actually spelt out what those Chinese characters meant.
Tesla in China.
Tesla in
And we
China.
don't recall what it is.
Oh, I've forgotten what it was.
Oh man.
Terrible.
Yeah. I'm deeply disappointed.
I'm sure you are.
But maybe what's more interesting is that they spell out Model 3.
Yeah.
And
That's what we were saying. Is that
Yeah.
would you take a Model 3 if instead of on your plate for it to be placed on the corner as well? Casey mentioned, of course, the Model S and X are on the other side where the Chinese writing is.
Yeah.
So in the China car, they put it on the right-hand side. So I don't
Well,
know.
they're never going to tell us how big the battery is on purpose.
I remember people saying when they received their Model 3s, where's the badge? We don't get a badge. It's on the plate. That's kind of weird. But most people have just kind of stuck with that. So they're happy with it. But I think I'd like a Model 3 on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
I wouldn't turn it down. Gentleman took SmartSummon on an obstacle course that he created, put out a number of pylons in an empty parking lot, and decided that he was going to put it through its paces. He used both the come to me, where you could just put your finger on the map and the car would come to that particular point on the map. And he also did a route where he drew the route and allowed the car to follow the route. He was fairly successful in his endeavor. He even purposely pointed the car towards the river, which I don't know if I would do, but he purposely pointed the car towards the river and watched it stop and not get wet. So it worked flawlessly for him. It followed his instructions on both sides of the coin, and it worked out well. Again, he was in an empty parking lot, and if you were going to try something like this, please do not go to Walmart on Saturday afternoon and decide that you're going to use the other cars as pylons, because that is just a recipe for disaster. Just, yeah, like Casey, don't do that. Yeah, just make sure you're in an empty parking lot when you're trying those type of crazy endeavors.
Yeah, in the video, it starts out in an empty parking lot, but that was actually my second. I started in the full parking lot. It did so great, I took it to an empty parking lot.
Oh, my goodness. Got to watch out for that stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that was announced recently here for Canadians is that apparently there's going to be a protection kit that is going to be distributed to Model 3 owners of present cars as well as new cars. And this kit basically is a kit of mud flaps for the front tires. And they're going to be provided, and it's for the paint chip issue on the bottom rocker quarter of the car, as well as the lower side of the, the front fender, where the mud flap will protect it from rocks, salt, sand being thrown up from the road in winter conditions. As soon as this was posted, and we did it on the Tesla Life Twitter feed, I had 5 Americans say, "How do I get the package?" I live in the Northeast. I had one gentleman say, "I live close to Canada. Can I get it as well?" And it's like, I gotta believe that if this is successful, they're going to expand it to the Northeast. They're going to expand it to the Great Lakes. They're going to expand it to people that experience snow, slush, salt, and sand on the roadways. I would have to believe that what we saw this from was an internal memo. It has not been made public. There is talk about it, but it hasn't. Nothing's been publicized at this point through the normal communication channels. We will see when this becomes available. But my thought would be all the other areas that get winter in a real way should be offered this exact same solution. And Evan's got our last story about, we're going to talk a little bit about CyberTruck. First of all, we have a poll.
Yeah, you want you to do that, and we can decide.
That we ran. And the question basically was, if you had the opportunity to purchase the new CyberTruck, would you A, want it to look fairly normal as a normal pickup on the exterior, or B, would you like it to look futuristic? And 77% of people chose futuristic over normal. And then Casey and I had a kind of conversation before the show started about, well, what is futuristic? If you looked at the Rivian, would you call that a futuristic truck, or would you call that a normal truck? Casey said it's pretty normal. What do you say?
I think it's futuristic.
And Russell, what do you think?
I think this survey is meaningless. I mean, just self-selection.
Futuristic is in the eye of the beholder, is it not?
I mean, the Rivian, I would call it definitely non-mainstream. I don't know about futuristic, but it's definitely not in the mainstream of truck development. Okay, so it stands out compared to the F-150 and the Silverado and the Tundra, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't call it traditional for sure, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's just no way.
They intentionally did that. I mean, obviously they've softened the corners. It's a lot more rounded stuff. The lights are distinctive, but it's still a truck. There's nothing CyberTruck about it, about the Rivian.
Which leads us to Evan. What do you think we're going to see tomorrow night, Evan?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's been more speculation about this truck and what it's going to look like, and people have put together their concept designs and put them out on the internet, and people that have tried to make you believe that they do know what it's going to look like. And somebody put out this armored personnel carrier and said, this is what it's going to look like. It looks more like a Mars rover. And, honestly, I think it's going to end up looking a lot like the Rivian. I think, much like the Mach-E looks a lot like the Model Y, there's reasons for that, right? I mean, you're trying to create a pickup style design that fits an EV chassis and trying to make it look like something different that fits somewhere into the family of Tesla vehicles. And it'll probably be some sort of a cross between a Model X and the Tesla Semi, and maybe some cool lights on it because Elon's hinted about Blade Runner like styling. So I assume that'll be in the lights or something with the front ends. But I don't know. I'm really excited. Are they going to have something bigger than a 4-foot bed that Rivian has? Are they going to have, is it going to be targeted toward the farmers of America, that get them to give up their F-150s and, Silverados, or are they looking for the weekend warrior urban cowboy that just feel cool when they sit up tall in a truck? And
who buys trucks?
Lots of people.
Yeah, but who buys new trucks?
Lots of people.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends what part of the country you're in. There's plenty of pickups running around California, but out here there's lots of trucks too, and some of them do legit daily farm work and have are pulling trailers full of mowers and stuff, and some of them are awfully shiny and pretty and have low profile tires on them.
Right. No, I wasn't trying to stereotype anything. New expensive trucks aren't necessarily like the old farmer in Texas or okay. I haven't done any research on this. I'm just looking at who's driving the brand new Tundra, who's driving a brand new F1 or Ford Raptor when I see them on the road. And for the most part, it's construction dudes and older people who have money, who don't mind dropping $60K on a truck.
Yeah, but if you look at like the F250 or 350 with the the gooseneck connection, it's going to be completely different. And those are mostly used for work. But there's some people who they just want to commute in a ginormous vehicle.
Sure. I think this is one of the biggest anticipated events, just because we've gotten over the hump that we know Tesla can design a mass market vehicle. We know that they can build an appealing vehicle. It's been done time and time again. But this is a new vein. It is something that, of course, Elon's posts that have come out about how this is going to be more alike to a vehicle that you would see in Blade Runner. It's going to be a vehicle that is more closer related to an armored personnel carrier. All these things thrown into the mix. It's like, is he pulling her leg? Or is this guy actually going to come out with some spacey looking crazy vehicle, almost like the Homer Simpson episode where he got to design his own car? I don't know what's going to happen, but man, join us tomorrow night starting at 10:30 Eastern, where we will unpack what we see on the live stream, and it should be fun.
Yeah, we might come on a little bit earlier if it looks like Elon's on time, but probably 10:30.
And our last story this evening is Casey's going to show us a quick little video of what happened with Starship today. Whoa!
Just like they planned.
Yeah.
Now, who filled that thing up with that much smoke? Like,
so thankfully they had a feeling this might happen, so they instead of filling it with had planned to fill it up with all the right stuff, they instead filled it up with inert chemicals like nitrogen and, like, it's not chemicals, gases. Yeah.
Wait. They had a feeling this would happen?
Yeah.
They had a feeling.
Let me see if I can find this other awesome picture that.
And it blew its top.
They have a
Clean up.
feeling.
Now,
this
I'm
might
wondering,
happen.
did that top land in that little subdivision that's still not owned by SpaceX?
Right. Yeah.
Hey, it's science.
Science.
Here.
Exactly.
So here's why they had a feeling it might happen. Yes, that is a giant sledgehammer.
That he's banging on the side of it with.
Yes. So, yeah,
You're shitting me.
I am not shitting you.
Somebody photoshopped that in.
No, sir.
No.
This was legit. This was
real.
well before the test.
That dude's one-handing like an 11-pound sledge.
Yeah, when that square peg does not fit in that round hole, you got to make it work.
Wow.
Incredible.
That was
Incredible.
the liquid oxygen tank that blew, and if there was one of the Scott Manley's a guy I follow big into SpaceX stuff, he's estimated that the amount of time that it took to fall from when it blew to fall, that assuming minimal air resistance, it could have gone as high as 180 feet. And he speculated whether that exceeded the previous height of the record test vehicle that was 150 feet. But so, yeah, this is kind of an interesting thing because, and Elon, so Everyday Astronaut tweeted to Elon what they were going to do next. And this was the Mark 1 Starship. They're actually going to probably go to Mark 3 Starship for the next phase to actually skip ahead a generation from what they planned based on what happened here today.
Yeah. And Mark 2 is almost done in Florida, so they're going to do something with that, but who knows what.
Interesting.
Yeah. We
We will see, and certainly share as we come across this stuff because it's always fun to watch. But I'd like to thank everyone for watching this evening. Shout outs, Evan, anything to say?
No, join us tomorrow. I think hopefully our new system will work out. I think hopefully it doesn't blow up. Our tests don't go like the Starship did, but if we can get that sucker running, it'll be fine. I'm going to try to be on if I can, because I'm excited about this truck. See what they've got.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Russell, any shout outs? Nothing.
Tomorrow
Okay.
night, 10:30 Eastern.
There you go. Casey.
Yeah, like everybody's saying, catch us tomorrow. While you wait, check out my SmartSummon updates video, see what's changed in the latest update, and then shortly I'll have another video about my handful of changes that my ModelX took on youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN.
Perfect. And if you haven't already, press that little thumbs up button. Give us a like. That helps us get in front of more people. Subscribe if you haven't already. See us on Facebook, The Tesla Life #1, or on Twitter @The Tesla Life.
And
Ring
we
the
will
bell.
see you tomorrow. If they're not subscribed, they should be, but let's
Yeah.
just say, should we give an address?
If you connect to that address, youtube.com/The Tesla Life Show, subscribe to that, and you will, if you ring the bell, you get automatically alerted when the show goes live. And
That
we
way
will
if-
see you tomorrow
Exactly.
live.
So if Elon is on time instead of on Elon time, we're going to start. So if your
Exactly.
bell is rung, it will let you know, hey, they're on. So yeah.
Very good. So let's roll the music, say goodnight until tomorrow, and we will see you shortly tomorrow.
Thanks, Lee Moon, for the music.
Thank you.
Absolutely. CyberTruck tomorrow. CyberTruck Eve is tonight. Good night, everybody. Have yourselves a good week.